Hey fans! Someone wrote an article saying that fandom is broken.
We're gonna lend our voices to the chorus of people talking about this. Us having opinions? What?
It's crazy.
We're drinking some English breakfast tea. All right. A really great point that this original article written by Devin Faraci for Birth Movies Death Below points out is that death threats, rape threats, any kind of threats like that via the internet is not acceptable. Please don't send them to us. Please don't send them to him.
Or anyone.
Don't do that. They should be illegal. They should be prosecuted just as threats in person are, I think.
Yeah. I don't think that anyone argues in favor of death threats. There's this idea that fans send death threats as opposed to that fans get death threats. Like the number of public cosplayers, for example,
Oh my God.
that get threats. The number of like really public outspoken fans who are targeted with this kind of behavior.
For just being fans
Yeah,
with like social media accounts.
They didn't make Captain America a Nazi, for example. I mean, I feel like if you're a creator and you're on Twitter to try and get your fans' love and appreciation of your work, part of what comes with that is criticism. Maybe even a lot of criticism. Maybe even more criticism than love.
We're not saying if you get a Twitter account, you just have to be ready for death threats. Again, never okay. But you might have to be ready for some uncomfortable things.
Mm-hmm. And you might have to be ready for death threats because that's the way the internet is. I mean, here we are, we're two women, and we have this video series where we give our opinions. We definitely had the conversation before we started this project of like, we're gonna get some hate. And we have gotten some, thankfully not much, but we
Thanks,
have.
guys. This is a facet of outrage culture, shall we say, which we've already done a video about. There is a really big difference between death threats and a hashtag, say, that says, give Captain America or Elsa a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't think any of these hashtags or something like starring John Cho is actually saying, let's remake all of these movies now starring John Cho.
Though we would watch all of those movies starring John Cho.
Yeah. It's saying, consider an Asian American male actor as a romantic lead.
Just think about it.
It's saying, here's a problem, here's one idea of a solution, but there are many ideas of solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying give Elsa specifically a girlfriend, it's saying we need more LGBTQ representation in Disney.
I feel this problem too when I see people criticize the Kill All Men hashtag.
Yeah, because it's not literal.
It's not in any way serious.
Yeah.
It's
not an actual death threat.
No. So, okay, it uses that rhetoric. But, like, if you're not a part of that insular group...
Look, looking at everything at face value and not looking for context clues is always a mistake. If the context clues are, this person is looking for your personal address and the addresses of your associates, maybe that's a credible death threat. If the context is, oh, someone's using the rhetoric of this particular movement to make a different point.
There's a long history of marginalized groups using the rhetoric of their oppressors. Anytime you're going to write an article from an outsider position telling people in an in-group what to do, I think you have to be a little bit careful about how you do that.
Maybe you should listen to some people from the group.
While I do think that some really valid points were made about human conversation,
yes,
specifically on the internet,
yes,
but I feel like we might have a communication breakdown as a society in general.
Sidebar, Alexander Hamilton literally founded the New York Post to talk shit about his enemies. So this is not
It's
like
not
a brand
new.
new thing. We just have new, huge tools to enact this same behavior.
So while that is a valid thing, it also can go a little bit into tone policing.
Yeah.
Which is like saying, you have to be angry about the things you're angry about in the way that I find acceptable. You're probably going to make them angrier.
Does it ever work to walk into an argument and tell someone to stop being mad?
Has calm down ever worked in the history of ever anyone using it?
No. Know when you're walking into a group that has created a space for itself and is airing its own grievances versus when you're in a group that is about communicating with an outsider.
Yeah, this is the analogy I use, is I ask myself, okay, someone is throwing china plates out of anger. Are they doing it in a closed room so as not to hurt other people, or are they throwing those china plates at someone? Sometimes the internet, it's confusing as to whether this is a closed room or an open room. But that's a question everyone should ask themselves when they get into a room where china plates are being thrown.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
We don't endorse throwing plates.
No.
But
We
also
were throwing them at the ground. If you have a lot of feelings, you need to get them out.
But we also understand the difference between
Yes.
a death threat and a expression of frustration.
Yeah. One other thing that this article does bring up, and I'm reading some context into this, is the relationship between creator and corporation. So we're talking about large corporate properties. We're talking about Disney, Marvel, DC, stuff like this. So creators are artists. They do have to connect to work emotionally. They have to make artistic choices, but they're also beholden to their corporate overlords. You know, they have to listen to the Marvel Entertainment trying to sell toys level stuff. I feel like this article is also concerned that a surge in fan interest and fan demands is sort of forcing creators to be a servant of two masters. So they're hearing from corporate, like, we can't have any gay characters, and they're hearing from fans, we want all the gay characters, and how do you do that together?
And I remember very explicitly, this was the case behind Young Justice, where Greg Weisman, the creator, wanted to have explicitly gay characters on that show, and he was forbidden from doing that by the network or the producers or someone with more authority than him. In that situation, the fans were demanding something of him that he already wanted to give. And all they did was create a space for Cartoon Network to maybe see, oh, we could have a show in which explicit gay characters exist, and now we have Steven Universe. And I'm not saying that the people who demanded openly gay characters of Young Justice explicitly made Steven Universe happen. But now there's a space for something that people wanted, and they were vocal about it, and now they have it. And so
it's
that's
very popular.
Yeah.
On top of that, we have a whole other market that is now becoming really important to these corporate people, which is China. Huge market, and also a country with a lot of government censorship.
Everybody's really excited about this potential new lesbian relationship in Finding Dory.
But I've heard it's like 2 seconds long, and it's not integral to the plot.
Because it would be easy to cut.
For the Chinese market.
Yeah. Another thing, too, that I feel like was maybe overlooked a little bit in the article is that the idea of fan criticism of creators that goes too far, it's an ongoing active conversation within fandom about how to treat the creator,
What's appropriate.
when to give them the benefit of the doubt, when to appreciate what you are given without demanding more, and just coming into the conversation and demanding that it be resolved in the way that you want it to be resolved without
saying
looking for its existence. It exists. That conversation is happening. And I feel like this happens a lot of the time too. People from the outside of the community say, why isn't anybody talking about X? When people are talking about it, you just aren't a part of that conversation, or you haven't found it.
You look first.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's like walking into a library going, why aren't there any books on gardening? When they're there, you just walked into the library and all the new releases are in the front. So we don't really have a read, elect, supply with an army this week, because we're not really talking about characters, we're just talking about people.
And a situation that happens to exist in our community.
If we have a conclusion, it's don't be a dick.
Ta-da!